I've always got, when as a kid, I'd rope it so many times, I'd get.
Did Patrick ever give you like a good dummy drill to do?
No.
Did Patrick ever like make you rope the dummy a certain way?
No.
Because like when I rope the dummy, do you rope it like we all do, like round one at the BFI?
Snow is the only person that's helped me roping the dummy. I forgot where we were. Maybe Sheridan, Wyoming, we were roping the dummy. Well, I've always like faded out. Like I'd be right here and I'd fade out and throw my whole rope. Well, then he's kind of taught me, like when I'm roping the dummy, keep everything forward and finish. Because same thing when I was throwing to the right, he said that's one reason, because when I roped the dummy, I'd always move out with my body and all the momentum would send to the right. So he's helped me, but I try not to, I always try to rope it 10 times or so. Like I don't rope it a bunch, because then I'll start getting bored with it and just doing dumb stuff and catch up habits. So I try to, like, I'll walk to it and just jackpot it, right, finish it, right horn, left horn, like BFI style, and then like I'll get some off one swing from a cool back. I just kind of do 2 or 3 of a little bit of everything, and then that's it.
I work on my footwork. Like, this sounds weird, and I know probably counterproductive, because like, you heard a lot of people like, should your left foot be forward, or like, should your right foot be forward? And I'm like, man, when I'm throwing, I don't really know. Yeah. Like ideally, I guess it'd be a little even. You know what I mean? I'm horsing the left lead, so.
Like I rope it flat-footed a lot.
Oh, just straight?
Yeah, just straight, like.
From like anywhere? Like back like here or like close?
Like right here, like I'll just rope flat-footed and get one off, like right there. Yeah, that was perfect. But that's what I do.
But like I think though too, like your misses, like right there, like what happened?
Well, right there, I was uneven. Like my distance weren't right. Like. See, so like I'm not used to that. Like I need, for that throw right there, I need to be right here, because that's what I'm used to. I need to drop a cool more right there. So it's like before it's getting there, it's getting tight in my hand. So it's not giving it enough to get there. So like if I step up right here and do the same one. See, I ain't roped this down here.
These ones are up, man. It's tough. But I think a lot of people get, like, we don't catch 100 in a row. Like, I'm never out there trying, I'm always trying to catch. But, like, a lot of times you can get a lot of information out of a guy's miss.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So, like, right there, I feel like, what do you think? I feel like I'm dropping my elbow and not having my swing up, more like coming over the horns. Like, everything's down right there. So
that's a great point. I think a lot of times guys, they get the misconcept of, like, your hand's got to be above the tip, and it doesn't matter where you are in relation to the cow. Like if I'm trying to hit the steer that's across the arena, like my hand's still above my tip. And then if I get close and he's right underneath me, my hand's still above my tip. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So like for me, if I was going to try to crank it one swing and go flat-footed from right here, like it would have to, like his horns, everything about him is pretty elevated. So to make that happen, I'd have to get it up.
See, and that's what you brought it, like everything was up and you come across the horns. Like vice versa, I was getting one on it and coming like low. This with my hand.
Yeah. See, I think that's a great, like, a lot of kids and people that come to you for ideas or lessons, they think you never miss. And it's like, no, I think there's a point where you have to learn to get information from the miss. Right? I mean,
you have to.
Don't be mad about the miss, learn from it.
Exactly. That's why I study all of mine, and I've about got where I can figure out if I split the horns, if I popped it off or whatever, I can go back and look and see what I did to make it happen, and then fix it.
Because we sure weren't trying to purposely miss the
dummy. But exactly.
It's like, man, that's honestly like how a practice session will go, is like we got to learn to get something out of it. We don't get bummed, we get better. You know what I'm saying?
Like the only one I've messed up on here lately was at the American, and I was thinking they put they didn't run the steers all at the American yet. They were strong set from the NFR, the last Final Four were, and everyone was thinking they were going to be strong. Well, the first 3 weren't, and mine was supposed to be strong. Well, I drilled the barrier, and I dropped a cool too much. So like right here, you really don't need to drop a cool. So when I did, I had too much, and I finished my slack all the way right here in the picture, and I still have a curl. But by the time my momentum, I couldn't get it out in time. I just drilled the start too much and was thinking he was going to be more in front of me, and that's why I popped it off. So it's really not, like it's nothing I really did, but it's just I should have either been off the barrier a little more or It's just hard when you're going that fast. And you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I mean, 9 times out of 10, when a guy throws too much rope, it almost locks the horn, like the curl behind the horns, and it stays on.
Exactly.
So like out there at the NFR, obviously you guys break the average record and kill it. But like your whole week, like you really win the average win, like around 8 or 9. Like you had the average one.
We just had a catch in round 9, I think.
Right, so you've got
We won it in round 9.
Did you ever like deviate off of your game, like, you know what I mean, like try to miss the barrier a little bit? Or?
No, I never. One time I hated the steer we had. I think it was 4th round.
You had
it was a black, and he literally, by the time somebody had him, by the time they got right here with their nod, he was. So I was so worried about missing the barrier, and sure enough, I got about right here, and he split the gates, and I panicked. And I dropped way too much rope and bout curled. I curled his knee actually, missed my slack, bout curled the front leg, and it come out of it good. But no, I just told myself I was gonna take the same start every night and just catch 10 steers. That was it. If the steer didn't start and I broke the barrier, that's just
part of the
how
game.
it was gonna go. And then the one we won the round on, round 3, I literally thought I broke the barrier until someone yelled, yeah, because I literally, when the gates bang, I went and he kind of like didn't leave, he just kind of trickled out, and he was literally just right there and stepped off to the right, and I just wiped it on him. But
that's awesome. All right, so let's just pretend that my little girl comes up to Tanner Tomlinson for a lesson. How do you get her to not split the horns up close?
Not split the horns up close? I ain't done many lessons, but just back home with people, I make them sit right here and finish their delivery, like make sure they open it up. I don't worry about them pulling their slack or nothing. I make them do that about 10 times in a row, just making sure they follow it through and open it up. That way they don't, because I feel like a bunch of people are so worried about getting their slack too fast or something like that, you know, so I always make them just sit, get over them, and then just finish it all the way through a few times, and then just keep working up step by step. But then again, where you did your drill earlier, turning your rope over, I have 90% of the people I've helped before, they don't know how to turn their rope over.
Absolutely.
So
well, that's a big problem.
That's why I thought your drill was cool, because I never noticed that. It's just always try to tweak little stuff to try to help them, because I never got lessons.
What's your drill for like turning the rope over sooner? Like if you got somebody that's turning it over late, how do you get them to do that?
Well, I always get them a softer rope, and then just try to make sure I'll make them sit and swing until I can see where they're turning their wrist over, and just make them swing for probably 10 swings, and then make sure they follow it through all the way and turn it over. And they usually pick it up, but yours is the best I've seen. That's a good drill.
Yes.
Where'd you
now
pick that?
There's a pro tip.
Yeah, that
from Professional's Choice. Tanner Tomlinson saying Coleman Proctor's was the best he's ever
Where'd
seen.
you pick that? Where did you figure that out on your own?
Man, so I was doing a lesson the other day with some good friends of mine down there in San Antonio, and you know, like you just see it so many times, and people, they try everything. Like they try their hand high, they start with it low, and it always leads to the same thing. Like it's headed that way, and people don't understand. Like in my opinion, the reason we got to turn this thing over early enough, right, is to have the tip going at the target. Like, you know what I mean? Everybody wants to talk about like your curl and this and that, but like that thing has to be going at the target.
It has to.
And a lot of times people think they're turning it over, right? You know, but they come with it late, but they got a pretty good angle, right? But what I like to say is like where the Honda's pointed down, that's where your tip is aimed.
And that's where I've always, when I made them swing over the dummy, I'd always tell them to watch when they're turning it over, watch your loop go across the horns.
Right.
Turning it over. But I've never, that's...
Well, so that I started with the same thing. Like, you know, one of the greatest ones I ever heard was make sure that you can see the horns through your loop, right? Like that's pretty basic. And for a guy like us that rope all the time, like that's pretty easy to pick up. But then for somebody that doesn't, you know, they're...
Yeah, exactly.
And they're like, well, I can see it. And it's like...
And well, it's usually not moving there.
You
it's
can't.
usually right here.
Right. So that's what, with him, I just made him, because it's such a, getting your rope started is more about like learning to roll it out into the starting position
movement,
versus picking it up. You know, everybody wants to pick their rope up with their arm.
Yeah, it's all wrist.
You got to roll it out of there. So I made him just rope it, or like start his rope,
and that makes
turn that over.
That makes you crank it all the way over.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I feel like
there's no cheating right there with that.
No.
At all.
And I think it's great anytime that the rope is still in your hand when you're trying to rope the dummy. It's a great spot to get feedback. Like when I bring my rope in, I want it open, bottom strand down, top strand up. You know, it's a great place to get feedback.
And that's where, and I had somebody ask me a couple days ago, they're like, your rope feels good, but I keep popping it off or missing with it. And that's, people don't understand, like, if you don't turn your rope over and you're sloppy with your slack, it's gonna hit a shoulder, it's gonna bounce off or something, or if you're not turning it over and following it, you're gonna split the horns. Like, it's really a lot more to it than just trying to swipe it on the horns, you know. Because that's where I've got better and evolved, is learning what stiffness to use. And like summertime ropes, get out in the summer and have too much kick in them where you can't turn it over and keep your loop open. Or in the wintertime, like Denver last year, my rope was so bouncy and stuff, and I never knew about like 5%, 10%. I never knew none of that. And that's where Patrick was saying there's too much backswing in it. And sure enough, I ran all the way to one and went to head him, and I couldn't turn it over. It just went on, bounced right back off. And then ever since then, he taught me, and now I've got where I baby my ropes. My head ropes, I baby them.
I left at the box one time at the finals, and my rope did this, like went that way. Like swing one is this direction, like.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my Lanta. But
I'm telling you, my rope, the way my rope feels, makes my heading feel so much more comfortable. If I got a rope, if I'm trying to head with a rope that don't feel good or it has backswing or something in it, I'm liable to rope my horse's ears myself, blow it over the top of them. There ain't no telling what's gonna happen. It's gonna be like a fireworks show.
It's a professional's choice. The more comfortable the horse, the better their performance.